This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Walker, and today my guest is Jeremy Glassco, who's the founder of AppFueled and is an expert on using technology to disrupt customer behavior and also to provide world-changing or world-class, I should say, customer service. But before we get into the episode, I would like to thank our sponsors. Thank you to our friends at RepairPal for providing this episode. RepairPal is the key that unlocks more business for your repair shop. Learn more at repairpal.com/shops. And are you ready to convert clients to members? AppFueled specializes in creating custom apps tailored specifically for auto repair businesses. Build client loyalty. Get started today with your own customer loyalty app. Visit appfueled.com. Well, hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah,
Excited.
it's awesome to have you on. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with you today and having our listeners get to know who you are. As if you've been listening and you've heard the last couple of episodes, to our listeners, you have probably heard that one of our new sponsors is AppFueled, and Jeremy is the founder of AppFueled. And I want to talk to him today about a couple of things. I want y'all to understand what AppFueled is. So we're going to talk about that today. But also, Jeremy is an expert on using technology to disrupt customer behavior and to provide that world-class customer service. And that's something that I want to allow him to share that knowledge today, because it's something that all of us could be doing in our businesses, and especially y'all in your shops. So we're going to talk about a lot today, but Jeremy, tell us a little bit about, AppFueled and what it was that motivated you to create this tool.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Brian, can I answer one of this part of this question in this way? How about I say what AppFueled is not? And it actually comes, I'm looking at the logo on your shirt, and it was a great reminder to me, Shop Marketing Pros, back in 2015, I'm going to turn back time a little bit. 2015, we were a website builder. We had SEO people, like this was our thing, right? From 2008, this was some of the, some people call it the MVP, right? Minimum viable product. This was part of the plan in 2008. But just your shirt's a great reminder, and it's kind of neat. You asked me this question. What we are not is a website builder. So what that has opened up for me is this idea of, Jeremy, okay, you can't be everything to all people. We all know that. That's classic quote, right? But I'm slow. I'm stubborn. So the reason AppFueled is what it is, Brian, is because of me being stubborn, right? And a journey of God's grace putting up with it. And at the same time, just continuing to shut a door, but every time some door is open. And my prayer just every day I wake up is like, okay, God, which is the one? And he'll go, hey, don't worry about it. I'm just going to shut the ones, and this one's going to go. So that's AppFueled in a sense. We're just attempting to walk through doors that the ones that open. And right now, and going back to 2008, let's just back up even to 2004. So I was working for a .com in Seattle. And guys, like I'm a Gen Xer, so just a little bit of a, like, if anyone's not a Gen Xer, the deal is we're first year in college and we're learning about www. Right. So that's where Gen X is at. I had an analog watch as a Gen Xer. If you're born in this 8-year range, you've had half of your life, your childhood, without digital, and then the other half with you. You're this rare 6-year range of people and all of mankind that went from this to this. So thankfully, I take that as an amazing blessing, because in everything AppFueled does, at its core, you have somebody who gets it, that digital is not everything. And in fact, most of humanity survives and thrived without it. So I just like that at the DNA of AppFueled. And although we love technology, I've got 22-year-olds that are developers, right? I've got, there's just a host of generations that can do this well, and that can make digital work. But at the very core, back in 2004, I'm working for a .com. What inspired me to kind of make a move from just being at a .com was, and my son called it out 2 days ago. He goes, because he's at college right now, and he's kind of playing that out, like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't know why you're at college. All these kind of just dad son conversations. And Brian, here's he goes. Now remind me again, Dad, why do you own your own company? What's at the core of it? And I said, hey, I've got this one other good friend, and we always talk about this. It's actually freedom. And I think of course, what he's seeing in his mind is a guy who's 20 years in. Oh yeah, the freedom to be your own boss. I go, and he goes, what do you mean? I said, it's the freedom to work really hard, and that's the freedom you get. I said, in other cases, you're held back, you're stifled, you can't run with your ideas, you got to do side hustles. This is the greatest part of being part of AppFueled, Brian. I get to the freedom to just work hard, and of course, in this, thankfully, guys, I grew up in a different country. If you're looking behind me, grew up in Papua New Guinea. You could work your butt off over there and not get rewarded in a financial sense. And so every day I wake up, because it's Veterans Week, I don't know if you can see also behind me, my brother served Green Beret, Special Forces, 20 years. And
Wow.
being Veterans Week, I just want to point this out. Like, I grew up in a country where just not having your stuff stolen was a modern day miracle. Okay. And
Yeah.
then now I could, come back here when I was 17, get to the United States and go, wait a minute, you mean you could work hard and you could be rewarded for that? And so
Mhm.
that's the freedom that we're talking about. And there's people like my brother, just a shout out to him this week, I don't know. I just don't want to take that for granted. So it's grace and mercy, and it's all those faithful people just punching in, and that makes AppFueled what it is, and why it is what it is not, and why it is what it is. It's just the providence of God.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome. And we thank you, brother, for his service. Kim's brother was Special Forces as well, fifth group for, he was in for 22 years. I think he was Special Forces for 12 of those years. And he, it's crazy because we were always so concerned about him. He retires, and just a couple of months later, killed in a car accident after being in 6 major conflicts and who knows how many little ones that nobody knows about. Um, but these guys, they truly do, give their lives for their country, and it gives us the freedom to be able to do what we do. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and I can lose sight of it. I mean, it's when I see something like that. Thankfully, my brother gave me that as just
Yeah.
kind of a token of, and he'd be the least. He didn't want me to probably say this today, right? I
Yeah.
mean, this is how these guys are.
Right.
but the truth is, there is no greater love than to lay your life down for a friend. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
well, that's awesome. So you told us what AppFueled is not, and I think that there's another misconception out there about AppFueled, and I say that because I had the misconception, and it comes down to the name being AppFueled. I thought that what AppFueled was just a way for you to create an app for your shop where your clients could like log in and see all of their service history, and it does do that, but it's so much more than just an app for your shop. I mean, this thing is a full-featured CRM, but it goes beyond what any of the other CRMs in the industry are doing. In that you have a call center and everything. Tell us a little bit about like when I saw this thing, when you showed it to me, I was blown away by what I saw because there's nothing else out there in this industry that does it. Talk about that.
Well, thanks for that compliment, Brian. And again, we kind of stumbled into this, but perhaps and I think we can all relate to this. When you start a business, you have a clear mission. The tactics are not always known, right? But the
Mhm.
mission is. And so in 2008, the LLC that we operate under is Refer a Car LLC. And like, why refer a car? So again, back to 2004. At the core of, you got the Gen Xer, the DNA of the company, but then also at the core of what began, I bought a weird program off eBay. All right, Brian, this is how I started a company. 2004, I bought this weird program. The guy that sold to me is now, he's in prison. Different story. But that's just what I do. I just, when you take personality tests, like, what are you good at? I'm like, I'm good at being a risk taker, I guess. Like, if that's a strength, I don't know. Anyways, so I
It
take a
is.
risk, I buy something weird, I run with it, quit my .com job, run out there, think I'm going to take over the world. And here's what it was. It was simply get nonprofits like a youth group to work with an auto repair shop, build an oil change package collectively as a partnership, And what I discovered was shops were willing to do that. They were willing to use a product as a loss leader if they knew it was for a good cause. Of course, there's always some back end payout, right? Of course, it's a loss leader. That's why we call a leader for a reason, in that it's leading into a relationship. And what we built at the time, because I'm coming from a .com. I don't even know if any of us knew about apps at the time, right? 2004, like with Steve Jobs, 2008 iPhone wasn't presented, so we just built a little web app tool, right? It was called Oil for Kids, and the kids would be out there selling oil changes. And I'm going to get to the like what AppFueled is with this, but the kids were selling the oil changes, making the money. And it was what I discovered was fascinating with this little web tool. The parents had to, we could have just gone straight up paper, like all normal fundraisers back in 2004. Could have just sell it, market, put the kid name down, do a transaction, hand the prepaid oil change package. Could have done all that. But what I want to do, and that's what was sold to me, by the way. But I put a little bit of twist on it. I said, no, I want the shop owners to know who bought it before they come, and to be able to track it. That was it. That was the simple idea I had. So in the web app, I said, guys, you cannot claim these oil changes that you buy until you go to the web app and activate the code. Nothing too insane about that. But what it did is it proved to the shops that things were being sold. It was something they could track. And then they had the customer information that back then they could just copy and paste it, save a little bit of typing, right? You already had the customer in the system, just a couple little, we didn't have APIs back then to like be messing around with Mitchell or whoever, RO writer at the time. But you kind of get where I'm going with that, Brian. So the core of it was to realize this relationship between an independent repair shop and their local community was powerful. And we had, at one point, we had an elementary school sell over 200 of these, right? And so they were getting a package of things. And back then, I don't know if you guys remember the door-to-door sale people, they were selling these door-to-door anyways. Just people knock, knock. Hey, I've got an oil change package from shop. I'm not against that, but what I was thinking was how much better coming from a local youth soccer team. So out of that then came, all right, we have the web app. We're getting the parent in there. They're buying it. So here comes Refer a Car now. Then what we moved to is, why not build a built-in referral program into that? If we can get kids making the sale, can we get customers sharing codes with their friends and family? So that's Refer a Car. And those two ideas, and almost nobody knows it. Brian, you're going to be the first to hear it. But they are in AppFueled today. If you're one of our clients today and you're like, Jeremy, why have you never mentioned this? These are sitting in our tool today, and they've never left. So some of our clients take advantage of it. They run our automated referral program. So when a customer comes into the app, it gives them the easiest tool they've ever had to just fire off a text with a pre-built code connected to them, that when the customer activates, they get a reward when that person shows up. So that was just in the heart of it. And we're like, of course, we've moved past web. Most people doing anything more than once convert to an app user now. I mean, so like, why did AppFueled? So we were instant auto site. We were a website builder. Guys like yourself proved to me we can't do that. There's no way we can be the website builder too and be a pro. It's too, so that's why it was a really great epiphany there to go, let pros be pros. And what we're pros at is, and this remains our mission today, and here it is to disrupt consumer behavior so they choose your shop for next time before they leave. That's our mission statement.
I had no idea about the youth groups and stuff selling oil changes. You basically were the oil change version of World's Finest Chocolate.
Perfect. Yep.
Or the popcorn for the Boy Scouts, or the cookies for the Girl Scouts, so that they get to go out there and sell it, make a little bit of money, and then the shop gets a new client.
I still love it today. Any of our clients today, you're listening to this episode, like, get on a training call with me as fast as you can, and get a partnership going with someone in your town that you want to help them out, and use those. If you're using them as loss leaders, you'd be willing to send it on a postcard, put it in an ad, talk about it in a Google ad, put it on a landing page. Maybe let someone in your town benefit from that loss leader.
Yeah.
So yes.
So this thing evolved from that into this full CRM.
Yeah. So the mission in 2008 was, we realized, look, we tested it and it worked. You can do, even back then, before smartphones, and people had to go back to their PC to do this behavior. you could force customers with a little bit of tension. And this is where, although everyone talks about make yourself ridiculously easy to do business with, right? This is a comment, totally get it. But if you think about it though, anybody you do business with more than once, and in your head, somehow they've already convinced you, it has nothing to do with technology. They've already convinced you in your head, you're probably coming back, and you're making a choice that can be made within 30 seconds, they say. Consumer behavior, like 30 seconds of walking into your shop before conversations, before the car has been touched, they probably have already made a decision of if they're coming back or not.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful to me. And so what we're trying to do is, if they've made the decision to not come back, because if you think about it, CRMs are useless for the guy that already knows he's coming back anyways.
Yeah.
You could turn off your CRM and your texting and your emailing and your postcards, and he's going to still come back. That's how much I believe the mind is more powerful than technology. So what we want to do, though, is for the person who has decided they don't want to come back, we want to hit that guy hard, and at least 9 times. So we've got a customer engagement loyalty ladder. From the booking of the appointment, which we consider the first these days, with the awesome auto ops tools, the Shop Genie schedulers, this stuff is brilliant. These guys have they've taken us where we all want to go, where everyone needs to be. These are just great, and like AutoFlow now with their marketing module and their click through schedule, two-way scheduler, and then you got Kukui. So obviously we needed it, right? It was an absolute thing. And so it's at that moment that first touch point could happen. And even based on that experience, you might have somebody going, man, okay, I'm desperate. I got to go in, but I'm probably not going back. This was already rough, right? It was already a rough call, just to get this appointment booked and to get past a terrible phone call, but I'm going in, my car's so right. So what we're doing, Brian, with AppFueled is we're saying, all right, give this loyalty ladder that the advisor has nothing to do with. Now, this is a key point. This is super key point, because I have people tell me, Jeremy, I run a rewards program. I'm like, oh, okay. How's it work? Well, we write the ticket, we pass it off, and our bookkeeper signs them up for the rewards program. And I go, okay, yeah. So you do run a rewards program. You are right. And I say, does your customer run one? And so that is the key difference between what I believe AppFueled can help disrupt. Because if it comes down to the service advisor having to be the one to enter you in, to somehow get you enrolled, first of all, that's going to, half the time that's not going to happen. Maybe more than half, right, Brian? Right. If we're counting on the people side of the advisors, not picking on advisors, they just have so many other priorities of things to do. If we're counting on them to run your rewards and membership program, it is going to fail. Yeah. Absolutely. So what we've to use digital and to use apps and to use the things that AppFueled is up to, we're trying to find the touch points. And like I said, there's at least 9. We have way more than 9, but there's 9 specific points where if that customer is going to be prompted, pushed, enticed, engaged using digital to make a choice to come back next time.
Well, and I love the rewards program that you've put together too, because most shops that say they have a rewards program, it's a free oil change at some point. You come in for so many visits, you get a free oil change. And I think about, well, that's how it started out in my shop with our rewards program, or our referral program, I should say, in our case. And we had some clients that they had enough oil changes built up that their grandkids would never pay for an oil change again. And finally it hit us. It's like, we need to do something beyond that, something that's tailored specifically to the client. And that's one of the things that I love about your platform, is that rewards program can be anything that you want it to be. People aren't stuck in a box with, this happens, we give them this thing. They can customize that any way they want.
Yeah. So and did you find, Brian, that in that oil change process, as I think through what you said, we have some clients that still use it that way. They still use it as a kind of, I call it an old school punch card mentality. And it's hard to argue with it though, right? Because three punches and the fourth is something, but you're absolutely right. We want to leave the something up to the shop. So,
Yeah.
so, and there, I actually just like seeing the creativity in our industry. I mean, it's like you got people like Laura Lee, who's coming up with a, swag bag and stuff. If
Hmm.
you guys know Laura Lee Smith, I don't care, branding expert, right? I mean, so there's just, yeah, I love the creativity that's coming out of our industry. My problem is being a internalizer. I listen and I listen, and our development queue grows. So if anyone's in the software development world, you know what I mean. It's like you listen and all these great ideas, and sorry guys, that'll be,
Yeah.
let's see, 2027. It'll be a great time.
But you mentioned Laura Lee. Laura Lee is she is in our Facebook group, the Auto Repair Marketing Mastermind, and she's always sharing those creative ideas that they come up with for the things that they give away, and she's a bit of a marketing savant. Um,
Yeah, I'm so thankful we met her, and she's, for
yeah.
whatever reason, she's hung around. She's hung around with AppFueled, so I've always been grateful for her.
Well, she's been using it for years and is a raving fan of it.
Yes, yeah, I'm so grateful of that. Yeah, it's just people like that, and I've got about, to be honest, get raise my hand. That's about the amount of people that from 2015 that were shop owners that believed in AppFueled.
Hmm.
So, and of course numbers grown now, but it doesn't take a lot to keep me going, guys. Because
Yeah.
if your strength is you're willing to take risks, then of course you go against the grain, right? I mean, and let me ask you this, Brian, because this is where my head's at now. Maybe you can help just unlock something, because I'll be honest, I'm missing something. I feel like I'm the wrong messenger. For example, let me give you 3 reasons why I think I'm the wrong messenger. Hotels use apps. Salons use apps. Restaurants use apps.
Hmm.
Coffee shops use apps, and by the thousands.
Yeah.
And are we not in retail?
Oh, we're absolutely in retail.
So this is why I think there's something missing in the message, Jeremy. And if you can figure it out, you could actually help us all move. I don't know if it's going to be me, Brian. I don't know who it's going to be. Someone's going to connect the dots with the automotive aftermarket, and we're not going
Hmm.
to have 99% of shops without apps anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, pizza shops are now at 64%, even local pizza shops with their own app.
Hmm.
And the why we're at less than one, I mean, I talk to over 100 shops a week. Why we remain at less than one, at this point, I'm taking the blame, because I've been on this message since 2015. And I don't care if it's app fueled. Guys, think about what you could do with an app, not for the power of the app, but for the power of disruption of consumer behavior. Because now let me ask this, Brian, would you be comfortable if your customer, and this is for your audience, are you okay with this as the end of the story, that when your customer wants to come back, they go to Google?
Mm.
Are you okay with that as the answer?
Only if they're just going for a phone number, but they need to have my shop name in their head before they ever go to Google.
Okay, so, but if let's say they're going to make that, whatever that next move is, online booking tool through Google Reserve or phone call or text, are we okay with those 3 as the final answer?
No.
And that's where I feel like we're stuck as an industry. I think we're okay with it. I think
Yeah.
we're okay. We're okay that our customers go back to Google, that they find us on their contact, or they reply to a text. And I'm not picking on any of those.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
all for all 3 of those, Brian. But my question is, if I'm an Amazon customer, would Amazon be comfortable with those 3? Absolutely not. They would
yeah.
want me to have an Amazon profile where I took some time, I had a little bit of attention, I had a rebuy experience with a card on file with my profile settings, all controlled by me as the customer. Amazon would never survive the day if they weren't satisfied with that as the answer.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I tell people all the time, and I'm gonna disagree with you on something that you said a little bit earlier, and you were saying that you feel like that person that has their mind made up that they're going to come back, that they're just going to come back. And I feel like we live lives that are so busy, and information comes at us from every direction all day long, to the point that we will forget about the great experience that we had. And if there's that new shop that opens up a little bit closer, or you hear one of your friends talking about a great experience that they had at another shop, that somebody may be open to going and giving that other shop a chance, even when they had a great experience with you. And I think that it's so important that you are communicating with your clients on a regular basis so that they remember at all times why it is that they know, like, and trust your business, your team, your overall brand. And when you add a component like what you're talking about with the app and the CRM and being able to communicate with people on a regular basis and to have their vehicle records all in one place where they can go, check that out in an app on their phone, where you can send them a push notification, or something else that another shop is not able to do. But when you're able to communicate with people in the way that they want to be communicated with, which, whether they realize it or not, it is through other means than phone calls and emails. Now, that being said, emails absolutely still work
Oh,
incredibly well.
yes.
But
Yes.
if you ask people how they want to be communicated with, that's not what they're not going to tell you. I would like to get a marketing email from you once a month, or they're not going to tell you, I want you to pick up the phone and call me and see how everything is going with my vehicle. They want technology to be the way that you're communicating with them. And you're bringing a level of technology that most shops just are not. And it is going to give the shop who is using that a competitive advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. And boy, thank you for disagreeing with me on that too, because I think that's why you guys are pros at your business. I mean, if I know what Shop Marketing Pros does, you guys are specifically attempting to persuade the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I get why you disagreed, and so what I kind of do is I just assume that because it drives my passion to be like that we need to change their mind while they're in your shop, right? They might have already decided to not come back, and I'm going to do everything I can to give you the tools to change their mind. And you're thinking the same thing.
Yep.
Anyone who's not visited you yet, right? We're going to do everything we can to change their mind, to give you a try, right? Is
Yep.
that it's kind of it's always about changing minds,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like not letting people be stuck in what they think they already know about your shop, about your brand. And I guess thanks for pointing that out. I think that's a pretty nice way to view this, is that we're either side, whether it's retention or new customer acquisition, we are trying to change their mind.
Yeah. Yep. Now, all right, let me go in and just discredit everything that I just said. Okay.
Let's go that way. Let's do that.
Because I stand by what I say, that if you ask somebody how they want to be communicated with, they're not going to mention call me, unless you get someone, a boomer or something, that which they might actually rather you pick up the phone and call them. But most people are not going to say that. However, picking up the phone and calling somebody, just like email, is still an incredible way to communicate. It might be one of the most effective ways. And you have this call center built into AppFueled. You referred to AppFueled as Salesforce for auto repair when you were talking to me, when you first showed me this product. And the shops that are out there, and look, they might be a little bit controversial when you get into the Facebook groups and all that, and see people, arguing about things that some shops are doing. But there are shops out there now who are having $1 million months. All right. And that, I don't care how much you agree with the way that people do things or don't do things or whatever, it's impressive nonetheless. And one of the key factors that they are putting in place to be able to do this is a call center, and to be able to call people that have declined work and all of these things. You've got this call center built into AppFueled. Tell us about that. Tell us, like, how does it work, and what is the benefit to the shop?
Okay, wow, you have teed up now what has become my passion of
Mm-hmm.
what I had long forgotten was restored. And what it was is that in this mission disrupt consumer behavior, you lose your way a little bit in the tactics. And in 2015, went back and looked at our MVP then, and the word that it was just kind of coming out at the time in 2015. You guys have heard this word now many times, omni-channel.
Yeah.
Right, omniscient, all powerful, but omni-channel, or and a lot of marketing companies love to claim the all-in-one, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
what we're actually going to say, we're never going to be the all-in-one. I don't know how anyone could ever be the all-in-one. We can't be the all-in-one, but the omni-channel, you can get about 6 channels that a customer is engaging in.
Mm-hmm.
And the 6 that I wrote down back then were chat, Facebook Messenger at the time. It was email, push notifications, text, and this phone calling thing. This age old phone calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have postcards in there too. So there's this omni channel of ways to reach a customer. And this one thing about this phone, what I discovered back, and it just took us 9 years to get there, basically. And there's an amazing group out there that proved to us. What do they call it? Key to callbacks is the phrase. And they restored in me that, Jeremy, put phones as one of your omni channels back front and center. How did you dare forget it? And they taught me through revenue. You have to listen to this, Jeremy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, whether you agree with the whole message or not, the revenue was speaking volumes to me.
Yeah.
And I took 2 guys. We redirected some other amazing things we had going on. In fact, sorry to all of our clients, we had some other things we were going to roll out this year. But the reality is, how in the world did we leave phones out like we did?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we had phones. It's in there, the capacity. We already had call tracking. All that's there. But what I got back to is, and I went back to look at my notes. In 2016, a shop owner told me, "Oh yeah, Jeremy, I have my guys calling from their own cell phones." That really bugged me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've had a great answer since. Well, AppFueled has one answer at least now on this. So in this whole call center move, and I'll get to maybe a little more details, but Brian, the very core, even for the 3-bay shop, right, that maybe the $1 million is just a month is not your thing, right? Or maybe it is. Maybe it is going to be in 2 years. But here you are, if you are making phone calls from your personal cell phone, and your staff is too, and those are the caller IDs, we're in a bad place.
Yep.
And so AppFueled has come in, and because of the move by the revenue giants, I call them, to move us in this direction, now from AppFueled, you can have a designated caller ID from an individual advisor that can make a call from our platform, both tracked, recorded, outbound and inbound, from our platform, which can actually be an app on their phone. So the advisor could still have the AppFueled app instead of their own texting or calling, and the owner could too. It could be offsite anywhere in the world, outbound, inbound phone calling from the AppFueled app.
I didn't know about that part. So it actually happens. They can have the app on their cell phone, so they're not taking up a line in your business while they're doing this.
Absolutely not. They can be outbound calling from AppFueled with a designated caller ID. And here's where if this is blowing my mind the more I think about it. You know how much more powerful phone calls are going to be? They're even going to get more powerful. And here's why.
Mm-hmm.
AI is going to mean that everybody can text, everybody can live chat, everybody can have a robot, and everybody can make spam calls. That's
Mm-hmm.
what AI is about to unleash on people's phones. And I think I'm just kind of being a little bit of let's make a prophecy here. If my full name was Jeremiah, I'm going to give it a shot. But I think what this means is people are going to answer their phones even less.
Yeah.
That's my current translation of all these amazing marketing tools. It just means customers are going to go, I'm just going to be that much less likely to pick up that phone. Because
so if they don't recognize that number, they're not picking it up.
So that's what's driven AppFueled crazy, and we are there. We have released branded calling. So when that outbound call is happening, and with the RCS move, and it's about to hit AT&T as well, it's already live in T-Mobile and Verizon. We got a 48% reach. That outbound call happens. It has your shop name on it, and that's even if they've never taken your call before.
Mm-hmm.
So branded calling is in that feature. And in addition, we're about to have the RCS branded profiles as well. So even the texting will not have the component of just a number.
Wow.
And we have to get there, guys. If we don't, your phone calls won't get answered. Of course, for the guy that puts his phone in your contact and, you've had a couple calls, totally fine. We get that. But for the guy that may not remember you, like you said, 8 months later, because they may not come back for 8 months, are they going to answer that phone call? So it better be branded. And your text too. Is it going to be branded?
So tell me how this works. I've got a client that comes in. I see that they're going to need brakes, sometime in the next, say, 3,000 miles. And, I let them know about this. Do I select a particular date or a particular time frame and say, I want AppFueled to remind me on this day to call them? How does that work?
You got it. Yeah, it's we try to keep it as works for everybody approach as possible. And what we
Mhm.
discovered is, and we learned this from Gary Walker, just the guy I absolutely trust, who's done call centers for 3 decades. He told me yesterday, and he's behind this move of what I kind of label concierge pre-books, right? He
Mhm.
calls it pre-booking. And so the concept is you find the workflows that are important to you, you tag them from tickets, you build an interval, just simply build an interval of that tag for that ticket type, and that prompts you to do whatever that function is on that day. So end of story is, your advisor has no reports to run, they have no seeking to do. They log into AppFueled, and by 6:30 a.m. they have their calls preloaded for the day.
So what I love about this is, okay, in the service industry in general, the it is I say that it is incredibly easy to run a successful service business because of the fact that all that you have to do is basically do what you said you're going to do when you said you're going to do it at the price that you said you were going to do it for. It doesn't I believe in creating amazing customer experiences, but people have gotten so used to people not showing up or not honoring their quotes and all of that, that the only thing that they want is do what you said you were going to do for the price that you said you were going to do it when you said you were going to do it. So you can have a service advisor who is standing there in front of a client that says, I'm going to call you on March 13th and remind you about this. And on March 13th, that person's phone rings, and you just kept a promise like to detail, and you made an impression on that client. Like I love this.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why when you use the word Salesforce, because some people hate Salesforce, pick the CRM that you like, HubSpot or whatever. But our idea was, because I've used those tools for years. I mean, I was using Zoho back when it first came out. 2000 whatever. I was on an Onyx in 2001 at the .com. Like, CRMs have been around, but one thing I hadn't quite seen in an automotive CRM was, where's our note taking capacity?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I write down that they have a Yorkshire Terrier's birthday on the 7th, and I want John, my advisor, to make the call because he likes him the best. Tag that user with that note and prompt that advisor at 3 o'clock on March 13th to call about the terrier.
Yeah.
So and that's how we all use, for us in the ivory towers, get to sit in our, we don't have to go run a shop. Like, I just get to sit here and make notes and reminders and stuff on my CRM. It's like, and I get it. The advisor's got a lot to do. So I'm not saying that you got to believe in this. You have to
Well,
believe that we're taking that note and setting that reminder is worth it. And yeah, right.
I recorded an episode not too long ago with Rena Renebaum, who is the owner of the Empowered Advisor, one of the best service advisor training programs out there. And one of the things that we talked about on that episode was possibly having a 1-to-1 advisor to technician ratio.
Ooh, okay.
And when she initially said that, I was like, no, this is crazy. How in the world do you make that work from a profitability standpoint? But it's the things that you're talking about right here, to be able to make those notes, to be able to create that relationship better than any other, not just any other auto repair shop, but you got a closer relationship with your clients than their doctors do. And because the advisor has the time to be able to do that. And look, you might be listening to me and saying 1-to-1 ratio, that's not going to happen. Maybe a 2-to-1 ratio can happen, because this 3-to-1 and 4-to-1, it's not getting it anymore. You can't build relationships like that. So you have to do things to give your advisor the time to do exactly what Jeremy is talking about here, where you're taking those notes, where you're making the phone call to wish their dog a happy birthday. Like, who else does that?
Yeah,
And
and maybe that's not your higher priority function, but whatever your highest priority is, and you don't want to forget it, our incapacity to store notes separate from just a customer field in TechMetric, right? I mean, we see this all the time. I'm looking at customer field notes. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to get lost. I see something really important in there. Something like, I don't know, like this guy was going to have a heart surgery, heart transplant on December 11th. Make sure you don't call him. I'm like, oh boy, I hope this is so, and that's all in one field. And then what if one guy makes an update and it moves down a little bit and you don't read it? It's like, so so that's what I'm dealing with, man. I'm trying to close this gap for people that care about the relationship. Or you called the grandpa and he said, well, that's not, and call my daughter, she's the one that takes care of the car. It's like, so being able to have some extra preferences besides just simply a marketing permissions toggle, that's what we get in TechMetric, or Protractor's got I think one more setting, but that's just not, it's not enough, right? Like you can't just turn off marketing permissions. That's not what he meant. He meant call my daughter, right? So things have to go beyond one toggle and one customer note if we're gonna really, right? If the relationships are going to be managed, right? And I think that's is that a CRM? Let's see, customer. I think Craig says that a lot. Craig over at AutoFlow. I think he reminds me, it's Jeremy. CRM is not customer retention management; it's customer relationship management. And so I love Craig for that, for kind of reminding me of what a CRM is. So
so all right. So you've hit on it a lot throughout this episode already, but I want to get, we were talking about features and all of that. I want to get a little bit deeper into this. You talk about disrupting consumer behavior. Elaborate on what you mean, and specific to auto repair. What do you mean when you're talking about disrupting their behavior?
Okay, so in the way I view that is tension and friction. So as it is now, and if we do things behind the scenes and we do everything for our customer, that's normal, and we've disrupted nothing. They put nothing on their phone. They did not create a profile. They didn't adjust any of their own settings. They maybe answered a couple questions, but nothing inherently in your process separated the path for your customer. The path that we attempt to help all of our clients create is a retail premium pricing guest path and a member value perk path. And if you don't have the two paths, then don't get an app. Because an app will be like, if I'm just wanting to sell apps, Brian, like we should just do that. Like just go. Everybody needs an app, silver bullet, everybody get. I mean, we could have sold apps that way from the beginning.
Yeah.
But the reality is it sucks. You're wasting your money. And last time I checked, apps don't download themselves.
Nope.
People do. So if you don't have the strategy and you don't have a 2-tier path at a minimum, now there could be more tiers. Some people, like I get a lot of people tell me, Jeremy, we need multi-tiers in different ways and buy a vehicle. It's like, I get it. But most people, 99% of shops don't even have 2 tiers, right? Just simply guest and member. And so to disrupt somebody, you have to have 2 paths. If all you're ever going to have as a shop is one path, you can't disrupt behavior because everybody's in the same mold and you're not giving them any tension to make a choice. So disruption in the way I view it is you have to get your customer to do something proactively they were not going to do anyways.
Give us an example of that.
Well, one example is download your app. How many of you let your customers leave without downloading your app today? That's just number one. Now, but why would they do that? So you have to build a customer engagement loyalty ladder. You'd have to be able to entice them to do that. And the way I like to view this is because I think most shops underprice their services and most shops are not making enough money. And most shops are already not, they want to make more money, not less. So in addition, most shoppers I know absolutely love their customers and they're doing the best they can and they're providing the best value they can. So here's my recommendation. If someone asked me then, how would I get a customer to do this tension and to choose member? What I say is take your current experience you provide and back it off a little bit. Actually back that experience off and call that your guest experience. Rather than thinking the other way, because thinking how can you make it even more amazing? Because the truth is, like, great shops running really well already have a really good experience, right? And they probably have amazing things already built in. So all I suggest is maybe take 4 or 5 of those things away. So if you're a top shop today and you don't have a 2-tier path, just take a few away and call that your premium guest experience at a premium retail price.
So you're giving them a reason to become a VIP of sorts.
There you go. Yeah. And but again, like coaches like at ATI are brilliant at this. Like, Jeremy, stop trying to get your clients to give discounts. And it's actually the other way around. I've never advised. Now, it may look like discounts. The consumer may perceive it as a discount, but that is not what it is. It is a shop making an intentional choice that guests pay more and they get less.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you view it the other way, you'll never run a member program. You'll give up on it because you'll view it as just losing money. It's a hassle. Some of my customers don't like it. They don't want to download apps. It's attention. It's like, it's all of those things.
So you're still going to give them everything. It's just that they have to be a member.
Yeah, they would have to engage. They would just have to engage. And if they're not going to engage, it wasn't worth it to them. And here's the evidence I have. 3 years in a row, my buddy JJ runs an amazing shop now, doing over 400 tickets a month. I think he's almost averaging 400,000 a month in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I have learned this together. He did this. He goes, Jeremy, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this premium retail pricing strategy where my guests pay 15% more. And he raised his prices across the board. And I know when he did that, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, everybody's going to become a member. Everybody. And what we've learned is he's never exceeded 50% engagement yet. And that teaches me this number one thing. Price doesn't matter like you think it does to your customers. They are so obnoxiously annoyed by tension opportunities, they will pay more money.
Just for things to be easier.
Yeah, because that's how much people value easy. So if you want to disrupt, you have to convince them. It's got to be a little hard though, man. Come on, just a little bit of tension. Create that profile, upload a selfie, add your card in, get ready for the rebuy. Get into our gamification, have our member program. Unlock a rebate. Like, for example, our rebate program, Brian. We don't just hand them the rebate dollars. They have to keep the app on their phone. The second the ticket posted, we prompt them. They have to go in there and give you a thumbs up, thumbs down on the visit and unlock the rebate. And if they don't, it goes away.
Okay.
I'm not giving away a rebate. I'm not giving away my client's money for a customer that's not going to engage, and they don't care about the money anyways, because they were presented it at the counter and over 50% of them won't enroll.
Yeah. So you essentially have two different classes of clients that you're catering to.
Yep. And this is where I get a little bit divisive, because a lot of people go, that doesn't sound fair, Jeremy. I want all of my customers to get my best service. And my response to that is, let your customer decide. Because who are you to say they don't mind paying 15% more? Why did you make that call? Let them make the call. You gave them a choice to pay 15% less. They chose, they want it. So I think it's a win-win, because you immediately have invested in the cost of a membership, because apps aren't free. This stuff isn't free. Like, to get your advisors to take an extra 10 minutes a day isn't free. This costs shops money.
Yeah. I love it. I love it when I have a guest on that challenges my way of thinking, because I'm seeing exactly what it is that you're saying, and I understand. It's just like when Rena first said a 1-to-1 advisor ratio. At first, I was like, I can't see this, but by the time that episode was over with, it was like, if I ever find myself owning a shop again, I will have a 1-to-1 advisor to technician ratio.
So she was the right messenger.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about things like what you're suggesting in our own business here at Shop Marketing Pros. So I don't know. I love it. I love being challenged in my way of thinking, and I like where you're going with that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's just a stubborn nature. A lot of coaches get a little frustrated because they see the discounts and like some of my clients put like a package in their membership, right? The moment, I had a guy talking to me yesterday. He goes, Jeremy, I just want to give my membership away for free. And so you know what I said? I go, well, why? He goes, well, I don't want them to have to pay for the membership. And I said, well, so you're willing to give it away for free? I just want to be clear. He goes, yeah, I'm going to give my membership away for free. I said, then here's what I do. price it at $50. And he goes, no, I want the cost of it to be $0 for the membership. I said, no, price it at $50 and give it away for free. And that's why I get picked on a bit by coaches, because they're not in these conversations. I'm actually trying to get shops to create a premium value.
Yeah, and
And
that's what
only in that do you give something away. You don't
right.
give away anything more. You already have an amazing service. You're already maybe not making enough money.
Well, when you put the price of 0 on it, you're saying this is worth nothing.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Brian. So, man, that.
So, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and that's the joys of the member program. Is that's my main role here at AppFueled is I get in little arguments with people that want to run their app a certain way, and I let them get their way. Like I had a shop that goes,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do $180 for my annual membership, and I said, you'll probably be quitting AppFueled in 60 days. He goes, no, my customers love me so much they're all going to buy my membership at $180. I said, so let me understand, your RO average is $400 an hour, whatever it was. I said, and then you're going to tack on a 180. So your customers thinking they're going to pay whatever is now going to be $180 more. I said, what are they going to get? And, he had it all priced out. I said, but at the end of the day, your customer's paying more, right? Because of the way he set it up. And my response to that is like, 60 days later, comes back and he goes, yeah, I'm quitting AppFueled. We're not quite in this. And that's the reality that I'm dealing with, guys. It's like the apps and these ideas, they don't take off from your customer like you think they're going to.
Yeah.
You sure, you can try it if you want to. And I'll let people try it. I'm disappointed because we want his business. I was hoping for great things, but you can't sell memberships like that. The customers are just not going to hand you $180 when they might come to your shop 2 more times this year. Right. They've got things to pay now. So anyways, but that's the fun. That's my job here, is to get into these arguments, attempt to fine tune strategies and see what really works right on the counter.
Yeah. All right. May I ask you one more question? And this has been great today. This has been awesome. You've brought so much value to our listeners, and hopefully you're challenging their thinking the way that you're challenging mine. So I've loved this. All right, what are some of the upcoming trends that you see with like technology in customer relationship, like in managing those customer relationships? What are some of the trends that you're seeing that get you excited, or maybe that get you maybe not excited?
Okay. Well, it definitely, it's the prophecy of what I'm predicting happens with AI. There's so many brilliant minds in this industry. We are tackling AI full on. Everybody is.
Yeah.
But the but in all of this is we're not remembering what a consumer goes through in their day. It's that because we make it available to the masses, and that's what great software companies do. They make their new feature available to the masses at affordable prices. So it just means every shop now, although they think they're cutting edge, every shop can do it. And so what's happening with AI and technology, in my opinion, is now the consumer is saturated with the same things, unpredictable to them. They don't know how many phone calls they're going to get, how many texts they're going to get, and everybody can do it. My ice cream shop's texting me. I go to my local restaurant, they're texting me, and it's the same thing with apps too. But they want me to download their app. So the saturation is, I think, what now, because the playing field's been leveled. There's go high level. There's thousands of CRMs. You could Zapier. Everybody could work with Techmetrics API, protractors. The saturation, though, with the consumer is challenging to me. So I think the answer is you have to disrupt their behavior, where they've chosen your preferred channel because you entice them to do so. And that's where I think still today, an app remains the best tool for that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased AppFueled. I know other CRMs can knock these out. If you're a CRM and you don't have an app in your plan, why not? Because here's my question for anyone thinking about a CRM and the future of CRMs. If you could get it for the same price and it can text and email and postcard and call, why would you not want it to also have push notifications in an app? It's just now, if I came at you and you said it's 10x more expensive and it's 10 times harder, then sure, I get why some people don't have apps, but that's just not the way it is anymore.
Yeah.
There are CRMs that have apps and push notifications, and that's built into text and email and postcard and calling. So the challenge with software today and technology, in my opinion, is consumer saturation. And so the answer is brand yourself. Your texting should be branded, your phone calling should be branded, and the channel you prefer, you've got to entice your customer to take it. And now, if you prefer your customers to go through Facebook and Facebook message you, I mean, I'm not against Facebook Messenger, but if I'm running my business here at AppFueled, I have a particular channel that I want all of our customers to contact us through.
Mm-hmm.
And if I still have all the other channels available, but my preference is, because I know it leads to greater retention, is that they come through this one.
Yeah.
And that would be, so whatever it is, that's what I'm challenging shops today is, what is your best channel that you know makes it the rebuy opportunity easier? And whatever that is, if it's go back to Google and use Google Book Reserve now, fine. But if you have something in mind, you go, this is how I want all of my customers to rebuy, then I would say go all in on that and try to disrupt your behavior while they're in your shop. If you wait until after they're gone, it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
If you think it's hard to get an app downloaded from the counter, try sending a text 120 days later to get them to download an app. Even harder. So technology for me is pick your channel, your preferred channel that you think it gives you the highest chance of winning.
Yeah. I mean, we deal with that same exact thing in our business because a lot of the people that come to us initially come through Facebook Messenger, and it is not. It's a great tool to get a conversation started, but it's not a great tool to keep a relationship going. And so, well, Jeremy, man, I appreciate you being on today. Again, I'm excited about having you as a sponsor, and I want our listeners to go take a look at your product. So if somebody wanted to meet and get an overview of how it works and everything, what does that look like? What do they need to do?
Yeah, I've made it really easy for people. It's appfueled.com/Jeremy.
Okay. Awesome.
appfueled.com/Jeremy. Got me on there and an outdated picture of my kids. Click on that, pick a time, and let's talk. I love to get into challenging conversations, and I've been pushed a lot this week. So if anyone wants to hop in there and get something going, has an awesome idea, I get a little argumentative, but I'll listen. I'll half listen.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on today. I really appreciate it. I think it was a great episode. To our listeners, thank you for listening, and to our sponsors, RepairPal and AppFueled. We could not do this without y'all, so we really appreciate that. Remember, we are just one of a handful of podcasts on the Aftermarket Radio Network. You can find the others at aftermarketradionetwork.com. I hope that you'll listen in again next week. And until then, go fill those bays.